Hey everyone, I'm Bill. I'm with Cali Moto TV. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to A&S Motorcycles here in Sacramento, California. Today we're on another BMW R9T. This 2019 is slightly different than what you've seen me on before. I have a 2018 R9T Racer, but this is just the standard R9T. There's a lot of differences between the R9T Racer, the R9T, and the R9T Scrambler. So let's get on the road, let's check out the differences, and let's see what you guys think of just the regular R9T. All right guys, so we are here on the R9T. This is the standard model. We are on the vintage day. We call it the vintage day today. Reason is Bogdan's on a couple scramblers. I'm here on the kind of retro style R9T. The rock. I love the rock. All right. So we're going to get out on this thing and we will talk about it here. There's Randy himself. All right guys, so the R9T, we are here with the standard version. Now this is the version that has the front end from the S1000. So it's a little bit different than the racer style that I have. As you guys know, I have a 2018 R9T, but the racer version, and I absolutely have fallen in love with that bike. I love the motor, I love everything about it. So we're back. When I walked in, I was actually going to do another scrambler style, but realized that I haven't been on the one with the full regular better suspension, which I wish the R9T Racer had, but it didn't. So we'll have to test it out over here on the regular R9T. So a lot of people talk about the R9T Racer and how uncomfortable it is, and let me clarify. It is very uncomfortable when you are on basically a long straight road. So if you're not moving around on that racer, you are stretched out quite a bit. I'll give it that. It is definitely a much more aggressive position bike. But that's what's nice about the R9T, is the R9T's got a lot of different versions. So if you don't like that aggressive, this is going to be the better bike for you. Now, you're going to get better suspension with the R9T, the regular, which I would rather have had this on the racer, but it's not available. You get upright bars, so they're about just under elbow height, so it's nice and comfortable. We're definitely more upright. I'm sitting back further on the seat. The reason is because when I ran the Scrambler, I sat up a little bit closer to the tank and I really didn't give the seat any credit at all. I didn't like the comfort of the seat at all. Now, when we get into this bike, I'm gonna sit back a little bit and try to get the irritation from where the seat of the Scrambler was and not get that on this. So where I'm sitting right now, I'm comfortable. It's not kind of pinching up here. My knee height's kind of level. It's more on the horizon, right? So we're not kind of any position, no sport position. It's kind of real, just nice and level. These mirrors just adjusted down a little bit more. And we have the 1200 Airhead Boxer motor, which has been the amazing motor that BMW's used for years and years and years. And I'll tell you, I love it because we're not with electronic throttle by wires, which I love. I love the S1000. But they get that thing tuned down so much, you know, we twist the wrist and there we go. Now the R9T what I particularly love about the motor and about how the performance of the horsepower and the torque runs so well together. And what I'm speaking of is that in the lower RPMs, this thing has some grunt and torque, which gets you, so let's get into fourth, it gets that torque, picks you up into the higher RPMs, and then in the higher RPMs, your horsepower picks up. And you've got the nice horsepower at the end. Linearly, is that how you'd say it? Linearly? It's a very smooth bike. It's very, very nice. And so I was just out last week on Thunder Hill with the R-Town nineT Racer on track. And I love that bike, man. I really, really am enjoying this old R9T. It's a blast to ride, and I'll tell you, I've got a little bit different opinion and a different appreciation to this bike now than I did when I rode the 719 option. I think I'm sitting in a different position. I'm sitting in a more comfortable position, which is allowing me to sit and ride better on this bike. So I'm enjoying this bike right now. I'm comfortable, and I'm obviously now used to the motor, and I'm used to how this R9T runs. And man, I got a smile on my face with this thing. So the suspension, again, we have the forks are off of an S1000. And so the older version, which my 2015, these are the same suspension forks off of my 2015 S1000. So very, very cool. Of course, we have a steering damper down there. Steel braided brake lines, stock from BMW. And of course, we have the Brembo calipers. And this model does have the ABS and traction control. So while we're here at the stoplight, let's go over. We've got our heated hand grips, and we've got our basic on and off. Nothing too major. Of course, our brake fluid. And over here on the left, we have our hazard lights. We have our menu button and blinkers, horn, and our ABS option on or off. Okay, it only goes up. It actually that's kind of weird. I would have thought that the down button would have been like a dead button, and it just actually doesn't even move. So that's interesting. Our menus are simple on this. Menu up controls the menu on the left side. So we've got our tripometers, our miles, our temperature, our clock. And then on the right side, if we push down, our right side's going to go through our fuel consumption and our miles per gallon, average fuel, or average speed, our voltage. Oh, I got to get out from this guy's smoking. Gross. Sorry. And voltage and time ridden, and of course our date. So it's really nice. Now I don't use too much of the menu on the R9T Racer. I usually keep it on, you know, how many miles I have or the time. Generally up on the top, I would just have it on the time, and on the left hand side, generally I have it on the date, just in case I forget what day it is, which it becomes a blur these days. But what I will say, let's talk about the cooling of this bike and the temperature that this bike is supposed to be running at. So let's go ahead and get it up into the temperature. And now I'm not running this thing hot at all. Okay, it's just we're just kind of basic running. Okay, and we're at 226 degrees. Now, when the first time I got up on the hill and I started running this thing, I noticed this thing running about at 238 degrees. And I think we got up to about 240 degrees. And so I called the dealer, and they're like, there was actually a lot of people didn't really quite understand what the optimal operating temperature for this R9T was. So I went to the track, and I noticed that this thing ran up in the 270s. And so when we were at the Button Willow, back in June, and we did the R9T Boxer Cup promo video with motorcycle.com. If you guys haven't seen that, please go find motorcycle.com and take a look at their promo videos for the Boxer Cup. We are trying to get the Boxer Cup back here in the US, so if you guys are really into this old 1200 motor, hit it over there and take a look and see what we're trying to do. So there was a gentleman that owns San Diego BMW, and fire truck coming up here, San Jose BMW, and we have a guy that builds these things, and we had motorcycle.com, and I went up there and I asked them, I says, hey, what's the optimal operating temperature? And they all thought 220 should be it, and I was like, watch your gauge and see what happens. And so they came in and they were just like, so of course they're like, instantly on the phone, and they start calling around because they were running around the same that I was, around 270, 278 I think is the peak that I've gotten up to, which to me it just seems crazy that that's so hot. But they were running that and I was running that, and so they made some calls to some techs, and apparently these are hot heads, right? These are the air cooled oops, somebody likes the scrambler. 800 Ducati. You get smaller, bigger. So it runs hot. So don't be alarmed when you see this thing running at 240 degrees right now. And we're just about 85 degrees today here in Sacramento, but we're up in 242 now. So don't be alarmed if you guys see this and you guys look at the oil temperature. Understand that the oil temperature does run a bit hot. Now, I have just done the 600 service on my racer, and I have gone with AMSOIL 1550, I believe, is the weight. So we're using thick, heavy weight to run through and keep this motor as cool as possible, because now we're creeping up to the 250 temperature range. So again, you can kind of see this is very normal. Don't be alarmed when you get up to the 252 right now. So we are in a little bit of kind of stop and go traffic, but this is normal, so don't be alarmed by it. So I'm running thicker weight oil, and we've just did the 600 mile service on the racer. So at the track, gosh dog it, I didn't even look. I wanted to pay attention to that, but I think I only rode it for 2 sessions at this last track day, because I had the Sriracha Gixxer bike out. So I didn't ride the R9T racer as much, but I enjoyed that bike, especially on the track. So the other thing, so I'll tell you a disadvantage to this bike, and the one thing I wish I could change, but as I hear is quite expensive too, is the clutch. I don't like the clutch. And I don't like the clutch because, well, I can't do GP shift in this, so I'm on standard shift. Oh yeah. So you see, this old 1200's got some pickup, baby. So the clutch isn't a slipper clutch. So if you get up into that high revs and you shift down into second and you're high revving, it will throw that back wheel into a lock. So it is probably the only thing on my bike that I dislike. I don't mind the riding position because I come from a sport bike background, so I don't mind it. When I start to get a little bit uncomfortable on the on the straightaways, by that time I'm on the twisties, and the bike's super comfortable on the track and in the twisties. Now this bike is more positioned like the MT-09, so I can see how this would be a very comfortable bike and a very fun bike on track as well. And with this suspension should, we should be killing it on track with this thing. So this one has a little nicer exhaust than mine. It does have, some stock Akrapovic dual pipe system. It does have the wire wheels. I'm not a big fan of the wire wheels. I have the cast wheels, which I prefer better, but I have the big torpedo chrome muffler on my bike, which I would have rathered. You know, if I could have built my bike had been sitting at A&S for a long time. The Racer wasn't and hadn't been, and I say hadn't because I don't believe they're going to be making it anymore, but it wasn't a very popular bike, and so mine had sat for a little while, and I got an incredible deal on it. So I couldn't, when Randy told me how much it was, I couldn't pass it up. So we are 3 R9T racers into our reviews, and I'm growing. These things are growing on me very much. Now, the very first one, we did the R9T Scrambler with the 719 option, and I didn't enjoy it. And then I did the R9T Racer, and I fell in love with that bike. Absolutely fell in love, so much that I bought it. And now we're on this R9T Standard, and I like this bike. I really do. Now, I've only got one left. What is it? The Enduro style. And so we've got to come up with one of those, and I'll do a review on that next time for you guys, because that will complete my collection of reviews on these R9Ts. So very nice, very nice. And these R9Ts are quite customizable, but you do have to do a little bit of digging now. Now, when I first got the R9T, it just appeared as if there was a lot, but there is a lot, but it's really not the style that I wanted to go for. So if you guys haven't seen what I've done to my Racer, head over to that video and take a look. I just put some you know, valve covers on it, carbon fiber valve covers. I've got a Boss header. That Boss header, if you guys have an R9T and you've got too much, I don't want to say too much money to spend, because I sure didn't think that I was spending as much money as I did getting it from Germany, to find out that it was only the header and not the full system. But that Boss header, now that I have it, I absolutely love it. But $1,000 just for the header. So that was kind of a bummer. So, but the Boss header is, I love the Boss header. Absolutely love it. So take a look around, and you know, this is a little bit different style, so a lot of the options that are available are more for this kind of style bike and the Scrambler style bike. So take a look around. But I love this thing, man. I really love the bike. I love the I love this 1200 motor. I was on the 1250. If you guys haven't seen the new R1250 R and RS video, take a look at those. The RS, I absolutely love that bike as well. So very, very nice bike. So let's take a final look around this thing. Final look and see what we think about the R9T. So standard rear shock. So the rear shock is the same as the rear shock from my bike, just has the S1000 front end. So of course we have the Brembos, we have the Akrapovic system. So very, very nice. Love it. A&S here at Sacramento. If you guys want a BMW, Triumph, Ducati, come by and see them. But we're out for another ride, so stay tuned. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Please, guys, smash that like button. Do me a quick favor, and really, really, please smash that like button. But leave me a comment down below if you got any questions. We'll see you guys next video. Thank you, guys.